Welcome back to the channel, guys. Got another video today talking about another Final Fantasy commander I was interested in building, and I wanted to break down my lists and show you guys what I did for Hope Estheim. He is a white and a blue legendary human wizard 2/2 lifelinker, and at the beginning of your end step, each opponent mills X cards, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. This seems like a very unique card that both utilizes life gain and mill in the same sense to win the game and mill out all of your opponents at the same time. That seemed like a very cool strategy to me as a Treebeard player. That's like my main deck, which already utilizes some of these life gain spells that I'm going to get into. I thought this seemed right up my alley, and you get blue as well as white to protect your combos. So let's get into the deck here and I'll show you what my build is like. I'm starting off with my ramp here. This is going to be the most important part of getting your deck set up. This deck is very mana hungry and it'll require a lot of mana to set up these combos and protect them. So all this is super important. Mox Diamond, discard a land and a max mana of any color. Chrome Mox, exile a non-land, non-artifact card from your hand, and it makes that colored mana. Mox Opal, if we have 3 artifacts, it makes any color. Lotus Petal makes any color, but only for one-time use. Mox Amber, if we have our 2 mana legendary creature commander out, he makes both Azorius colors. Sol Ring, Mana Vault, makes 3 for 1. Arcane Signet makes both of our colors for 2 mana. Azorius Signet makes both our colors for 2 mana, and Talisman of Progress makes both of our colors for 2 mana. As well as Felwar Stone will most likely make at least one of our colors, if not both of them. Smothering Tithe also will generate us a lot of mana, which is exactly what we need for this deck. Whenever an opponent draws, if they don't pay 2, we're making treasures. Onto our doubling up effects. These effects are going to be super important for us to mill out our opponents in one go with these life gain spells, or get them very close to being milled out. So I'm going to start off here with Strionic Resonator. It's a 2 mana artifact that you can pay 2 and tap it to copy target triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. This will work with Hope Estheim's end step trigger, or some of the ETB triggers as we'll get into later on, to double up on the life gain effect. So most of the time though, this is going to be for Hope Estheim. We're going to gain 40 life and then double that trigger, so our opponents will mill 80 cards. And if we're at a certain point in the game, that should be the rest of their deck. Go-Go, Master of Mimicry. It's a 3 mana 2/4 double X tap, copy target activated ability or triggered ability you control X times. You may choose new targets for the copies. This ability cannot be copied, and X can't be 0. This will be just another Strionic Resonator that if we happen to have a lot of extra mana, we could copy it more than once. So we can copy Hope Estheim's trigger 2-3 times maybe, but most of the time it'll just be once. Roaming Throne, 4 mana, artifact creature Golem, 4/4, and enters, choose a creature type. It's that creature in addition to its types, and if a triggered ability of a creature you control of the chosen type triggers, it triggers an additional time. This will be for Hope Estheim's end step trigger. We name human or wizard, most likely human because there's a lot of humans. This will get us additional value in our deck, as we do have a few other humans. We're getting double Esper Sentinel triggers, double Ranger Captain ETBs. There's a few other ones, but most of the time Roaming Throne will be to double up on Hope Estheim's end step trigger. Moving on to Delny Streetwise Lookout, 3 mana 2/2 human scout. Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. If a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Hope Estheim's power is 2, so it will trigger on the end step twice, as well as a few other creatures in our deck also work with Delny's triggered twice ability. Y'shtola Roll is a 6 mana 3/5. At the beginning of your end step, exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under your owner's control. Then if it's your first end step in the turn, there's an additional end step. So we'll get double Hope Estheim triggers, and if we have any creatures that benefit from being blinked, we can exile it and return it to the battlefield for an extra trigger. Moving on to the Wind Crystal, 2 and 2 white. White spells cost 1 less. Whenever you gain life, you gain twice that much life instead, and you can pay 4 white. Creatures you control gain flying and lifelink until end of turn. This is a pretty solid card as it doubles our life and also gives us some cost reduction. The 6 mana ability is kind of flavor text. We will probably hardly ever use that ability since Hope Estheim already has lifelink. Rock's Faithbender is a 4 mana 1/5 lifelinker, and if you gain life, you gain twice that much life. Same kind of idea as the Wind Crystal, and the same thing here with Boon Reflection. 4 and a white. If you gain life, gain twice that much life instead. On to Alhemmer's Archive. It's a 5 mana legendary artifact. If you gain life, you gain twice that much life, and if you draw a card except for the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. So this doubles our life gain and also doubles our draws for our dungeons in the deck. Bruvak the Grandiloquent, 3 mana 1/4. If you mill 1 or more cards, mill twice that many cards instead. This works with Hope Estheim's mill, so he mills double. Also, we have Maddening Cacophony in the deck just for this combo here. If you have Bruvak and you kick Maddening Cacophony, you'll mill all of your opponent's libraries out. So that's a very solid combo in the deck. Moving on to our life gain spells. These spells are going to be super important to trigger Hope Estheim's combo ability to one-shot our opponents by milling their entire deck. Starting off with Congregate, 3 and a white instant. Target player gains 2 life for each creature in play. I can attest that I've cast this card many times, and you can gain anywhere from 20 to 40 life off of the single cast of this card. Beacon of Immortality, 5 and a white. Double target player's life total, shuffle it into its owner's library. War Report, 3 and a white. You gain life equal to the number of creatures and artifacts on the battlefield, same as Congregate. It'll gain between 20 and 40 life usually. Riot Control, 2 and a white instant. You gain 1 life for each creature your opponents control. Prevent all damage to be dealt to you this turn. So this could be a fog, as in addition to it being cast on our turn to trigger Hope Estheim. Sphinx's Revelation, X white, blue, blue, instant. Draw X cards, gain X life. Kind of been power crept since its release. It used to be a very powerful card, but now you hardly ever see it. But this can refill our hand as well as trigger Hope Estheim to mill our opponents for 5 to 10 cards usually. And Illusions of Grandeur, 3 and a blue. Cumulative upkeep 2 on this enchantment, and when it enters, gain 20 life. When it leaves, lose 20 life. This is whatever. We're just gonna get rid of it as soon as the cumulative upkeep happens. But ETB gaining us 20 life, like I mentioned earlier with the Stronic Resonator and the Go-Go, we could easily double that effect to gain 40 life and mill everyone on the end step for 40 cards. Protecting our combos here. So we went through all of our pieces here. A lot of them require a lot of mana and a lot of setup. So we're going to have to set up our ramp and our card draw and make sure that our combos are protected before we even go for them. So all these are going to be super important counter spells and removal pieces to keep our game plan going. Pact of Negation is a free counter spell, but we have to pay 5 on our upkeep or we lose the game. Mental Misstep counters any 1-cost creature and can be paid with 2 life instead of a mana. Swan Song counters any enchantment, instant, or sorcery, and they make a 2/2 bird token. Flusterstorm has Storm and counters any instant or sorcery unless its controller pays 1. Dovin's Veto, it can't be countered and counters any non-creature spell. Mana Drain counters any spell and gives us the amount of colorless mana equal to the converted mana cost of the spell to help us ramp out all these combo pieces. Delay counters any spell and suspends it with 3 time counters to be cast on a later turn. Usually 3 turns is a long time in Commander, and the card that you counter with it won't matter when it comes back. Fierce Guardianship, if we have Hope Estheim, which is a 2 mana commander, we can cast this for free. Force Negation, we can pitch a blue card if it's not our turn to cast this for free. Force of Will, pitch a blue card and pay a life to counter any spell for free. Flare of Denial, like I said, Hope Estheim is a cheap commander. A lot of the time, if he's out, he's not doing much, so sacking him to counter any spell and prevent us from losing the game is well worth it. Silence protects our turn, where we go for a huge life gain spell and double up on it, allowing our opponents to cast spells during our turn. Grand Abolisher, the same kind of thing. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Ranger Captain of Eos, when it enters, we search for 2 1-drops creature spells and put them in our hand. you can sacrifice him to prevent our opponents from casting non-creature spells this turn. Moving on to a few utility lands, and then I'll close out the video here. Wanted to start off with our MDFCs, which Enchanter can blow up any artifact or enchantment when it enters, and it's an untapped white source on the back. Seagate Restoration is a card draw refilling spell, as well as an untapped blue land on the back. Notably that this card and the next card I get into can be pitched to our Force Negation, Force of Will effects. And Sink into Stupor bounces any target spell or non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. It is an untapped blue land on the back. A Ganjo, Seat of the Empire, is a sweet combat trick to kill annoying creatures that keep attacking us, or prevent a pump effect, maybe stop our creature from dying in combat. There's a few uses for this other than just being a land. And Otawara, bouncing basically any non-land permanent, can prevent us from losing, and it often gets around weird effects like silence, for example. And Jador, Aristocratic Capital. This is a town that comes in tapped, makes a blue, but we could pay 6 mana and have target opponent mill half their library rounded down. This is free in our land base. It's just a tap land, and possibly could mill somebody out with a Bruvac. Mistrise Village will come in tapped, but it can make our next spell uncounterable, so we can resolve these bigger double life gain spells or these big life gain spells like Beacon of Immortality without them being countered. Inventor's Fair gives us a small amount of life gain if we have 3 or more artifacts, and we could also search our library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it in our hand, and shuffle. Only activate this if we have 3 artifacts. There are quite a few artifacts, as I went into, that are very important in this deck. I didn't get into Aetherflux Reservoir, but it is in the list, as well as our Helmut's Archive. There's a few very good ramp pieces that are worth getting, as well as the One Ring for card draw if we're low on cards. This can pretty much get us anything that we need in the moment to solve our issues, as well as giving us a little bit of mill every turn. And Scavenger Grounds. We're going to be milling a lot of people all at the same time for a lot of cards. We don't want to incentivize all these graveyard decks to just go off because we did all the hard work for them and we put all their good creatures in the graveyard. We want to make sure that we control the graveyards. There's a couple other pieces of graveyard hate in here. Grafdigger's Cage, Weathered Runestone, and Rest in Peace are in the deck. But this and Abstrago Entertainment are important graveyard hate pieces in our land base that are harder to interact with. Notably, with the Entertainment, we can return a historic card from our graveyard to our hand before we exile our graveyard, so it gives us a card back to our hand. And that should be it. Thank you for watching, guys. You can look at the deck list in the description, and like and subscribe, follow for more videos as I go into more decks here. Thank you for watching to the end, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.